some reason.
I don't understand why this isn't a part of the new Jurassic Park movie.
Well, it wasn't really Jurassic.
No, but let's make another movie then.
Yeah.
Basically Jurassic
New Zealand. Yeah, well, it is. We have some weird creatures. So we have, so there are different sizes of.
You didn't need poisonous spiders. You had dangerous birds.
Well, we just had birds.
You
Yeah,
have to
we had
walk
these big
around
dangerous
with
birds.
Good job.
So the half eagle, the big ones were found.
Slide out to
Hmm?
the hospital. Slide out.
Oh yeah, it died out. And then because the Maori ate all the moa, it had nothing to eat anymore, and so it died out from that. But yeah, so
I think we'll take that one airplane.
there is
Maybe that's the thing that
so the
Malaysian
Harrier,
airplane
the Harrier,
not missing, and one of this ate the plane.
so there's kind of it's only kind of 2.5, 3 meter wingspan, but it was heavy. It was a big hunting bird. And so yeah, it was yeah. No, so it's interesting. I mean, it'd still be scary. So bigger than any of the bald eagles or any of those, like much bigger than any of these. So yeah, no, but that's what you do when you and we have like massive insects, so winters and stuff. Really big insects, and we have one of the dinosaurs, the tuatara. The tuatara, which is a New Zealand lizard, actually one of the very like broke off during the dinosaur period, and was of those families.
Okay.
And it's the only reptile that survives with bifurcated jaws. One has 2 rows of teeth on the top and one row on the top.
So I will put
it's
some articles after this lecture onto the fronter.
Very ancient line.
Because so Kai will talk about the smartphone sensing,
We have our
and
own
you can
dinosaur.
focus on the wearable sensing.
Yeah. So no, it's a weird country. Right. Okay. So robust, and we can start up again. And now teaching and teacher education. Enhancing young children's
Question. Where was this published, the first one? Or did you mention that?
Where did I know now? I did actually. Where did I know? It was again in a teaching conference. It's a 4-pager, so it's one of the conference page presentation. But I'm sure I can find it. Where did I? Interesting.
Your search.
With it copied it really bad.
Link Springer.
Chapter.
So, innovations in advanced informatics, system sciences, networking, and engineering lecture notes in electrical engineering. Okay, so that's where you find it.
Very new one.
Yeah. So, volume 3.
But the paper is published from 2012.
They wrote it. They wrote it in 2012. They published. The first submitted in 2014 to this conference. It's probably been submitted to other conferences before and been rejected. So what you do is you then rewrite a little bit and submit it again, rewrite a little bit, submit it again until somebody accepts it.
The part that says now in 2012.
Yeah. Well, it took them 3 years to go from writing it to getting accepted by some conference somewhere. That's how the academic game works. Though this one is yes, in the teacher arithmetic skills. And again, remember we discussed where like games for education that a lot of the kids and ones are in maths. This is one of those, right? If you're going to pick kids games, you most likely get a math one because.
Well, that's where we come in and don't do math.
Oh shit.
There will be some math, but it's not a math game.
Yeah, they're doing how to sharpen knives for preschoolers.
How to turn wood plank into a shank.
Right.
Surviving kindergarten.
Right, so
Like one I went to.
prison school.
Yeah, we
skills,
had a-
right. So how to
Crips on the blood.
How to chase a sister with a knife.
how to chase your sister with a knife and not get discovered
Or
by your
make
ears.
the toilet roll gun with the balloon. That's the coolest thing. With the pea shooter
Right, yeah.
or crossbow. It's not that hard.
Right. Okay, so interesting approach. Hopefully you'll get approval. Okay, so Nimas.
Yes. So this paper was really very dense with information. So I felt like I wanted to mark everything.
Everything they said was
Yeah, because
highlighted.
both the literature study and the randomized controlled experiment. So it has 4 hypotheses and like 3 measures, pre-tests, then 2 post-tests, and they described everything. So first, business as usual control group. That's the one I hadn't heard in research.
Yeah, you do get business as usual. It's often just life as usual, or like no contact control group. Sometimes the court gives it as non-contact or a non-active control group. You'll see the difference between an active control group and a business as usual or a no contact control group, where when you say, okay, the classic example I saw was the Spark, which was an anti-depression game, which we reviewed last year, where it's a game for teenage depression, and though they got you to play this game, so if you had been referred to a psychologist for depression as a teenager, their comparison was you either get given this game and you play the game and get feedback to the game and a part of the study, or you stay on the waiting list and have no contact. And there is a little bit of an issue with that as the control group, because with depression, having someone pay attention to you and think that what you're doing is important and significant can have an effect on you feeling depressed, right? Because, sometimes you're depressed because no one cares about what you think or what you do, right? This is a common ailment among teenagers. And so when a whole bunch of scientists come in and say, right, we're really interested in how you play this game and what you do, and we'll be giving you some feedback on it, and you play this game and we'll see how it goes, and we'll get back to you and give you lots of feedback. The act of doing that may have been the most significant part of the benefit. Right? It could have been, they could have got them to, do crossword puzzles. But if they had the doctors come in and be really engaged and really interested and active with you, that may have been the benefit for a depression, right? So a business as usual, you could argue, has the potential for suffering from this attention benefit or lack of attention deficit. I don't think maths is necessarily as susceptible to being paid attention to as depression would be. I think depression is much more linked to the act of people finding what you're doing interesting. Than if you find me interesting, I'll be better at maths than if you ignore me. Right? It's a little bit but if you tell me to focus on maths, I might get better at maths.
Well, but that's with kids. So the kids are quite influenced by you exposing interest of what they're doing, right? So if you praise them or just being interested, they naturally,
want to do
more of it and get better at it, right? If you just ignore their drawings, they stop drawing, right? If you say, oh, that's a beautiful drawing, they draw more. So they kind of, it's not...
The business as usual might actually be a fairly weak group to compare yourself against. Well, especially if you're worried. Okay, so here's the thing. Are you worried about it being a game, or are you interested in any intervention? Right? Because if you're interested in, does an intervention help? Then it doesn't matter whether it's game or whether it's, I'll give you balloon animals if you count well. If it's an intervention in an active control group, then you're comparing, does intervention of any kind help? And then does intervention of the game help more than the other kind of interventions? So,
Yeah, so they mentioned here that our control group was active to prevent the helpful effect, positive effects due to extra attention.
so the Hawthorne effect. So we mentioned the Hawthorne effect already, I think, a couple times. Of course, yeah. So so active and business as usual aren't compatible. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Just hadn't heard the word
okay.
in research.
Mhm.
So their studies showed that problems with arithmetics are present in all the countries. So even though different countries score differently in arithmetics, there's still problems everywhere, which makes children leave school with insufficient skills, and that makes it difficult to get good jobs. They usually get poor employment options, manual or well-paying jobs. But the good news that the research showed was that training children in early ages can help them achieve better results in arithmetics later in school. And it also helps children at risk from failing further behind in school. Very fast.
No, I have to put it somewhere.
So they found out that teaching comparison and counting to children can help them increase their arithmetic skills. Here was interesting. Evidence for the importance of comparison stems from studies involving animals. So animals and young children.
Yep.
So I don't know how they made animals.
Pigeons, and a lot of the studies they do on they've done a lot of studies on kind of getting pigeons and dogs and cats and mammals to count, right? Because you give them food rewards for being able to distinguish between 5 of something and 3 of something, right? So you can train animals to count, and what they're saying there is that there are if you teach them to compare, mammals can then start learning to count. So by this idea of being able to compare gives you an ordering. Once you have an ordering, you can then start having a linear sequence of those. So yeah, but so they do stuff with mammals and animals. It's easier than humans. It's easier to get the approval. Actually, you'll see a lot now is being done with sharks because they're invertebrates. You don't need the same ethical approval to do nasty things to them as you do for cats and dogs and animals with spines. But because a shark is an invertebrate, you can cut it up any way you like, even though they're quite intelligent creatures. So yeah, so just there are as they restrict what you're allowed to do, you find people moving off into weird areas of biology to find these strange creatures to do experiments on. But yeah, so animal studies as well. Okay. Yeah.
And about counting, they mentioned 2 types of counting, procedural and conceptual counting. So procedural is just a number row, so getting the words correctly in the row of names of numbers. And the conceptual is just understanding the procedural rules and if the child is able to say if a procedure is legitimate.
And you'll see this you can see this follows some of the social sciences and educational literature approach where you make a statement and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 studies to back it up, right?
Mhm.
So instead of in computer science, you'll often find we would prefer you to give 1 very good relevant reference or 2, in some of the social sciences, they say, no, we want to see that you reference everyone who's been talking about this, and so they throw in lots of references for pretty much every statement. So yeah, it's a different style of writing. Lots of dense referencing, but it's a humanity style. We prefer you not to write like that. We prefer you to do the computer science of limiting down your references to the more relevant ones. But, yeah.
Yeah, mapping and arithmetic. So they wanted to find out if improving arithmetical skills will improve also the mapping skills of children later, because they found out that no other studies have thought of a connection between mapping and arithmetic skills. In the next part, they talk about different techniques and games that others used to teach children counting and comparison, and they were of different length and time and intensity, but most of them were proven effective in teaching comparison and counting to children. So they had knowledge games or epistemic games, educational games, and also serious games that others did.
So educational software.
So they have different games that they studied. The number race and graphic game math were the two most important ones. So the number race tried to learn children to teach them comparison and counting by approximate numbers. So just big dot, a large number of dots and a small number, and just let's say approximately where's the difference. And the graphic game math was in exact numbers, so the exact difference between sets of dots. All of them were proven effective. So they don't say anything about them non-effective games in teaching comparison.
Which suggests that there is a bit of the, if you focus on it, kids will get better at it. Even if the game isn't very good, potentially. It's the fact that there are parents and they're interested in you doing well in the particular area. They're learning lots of stuff all the time. So, yeah. Actually, I have seen an interesting discussion on if you focus in on one thing, are you sacrificing other areas of learning? Right? Because if you consider kids are learning all the time, everything they do, if you shift their focus, then they're doing less of this thing. It's not like they're sitting there being completely unfocused and kind of ignoring the world, and then you get them to do maths instead of being completely unfocused. So there is a discussion on what should you get kids to focus on, and what does that make them weaker at? Right? So it's what the challenge we have in curriculum is when we keep wanting to add stuff, get you guys to do more in a course. What do we take out? What is it that we're not going to cover? So that's a challenge.
Or across subjects. So if you add stuff to one subject or make it more engaging, then students will spend less time on other subjects.
Yeah, which is I have a problem in my first year game design course. If I make it too exciting and too interesting and too engaging and give long assignments that cover the whole semester, the students won't do the programming and maths they're supposed to do. because game design is too interesting. So you have to, if you make one activity overpowered as a game design, the player does more of that thing.
Maybe the math teacher should do something more interesting instead of you holding back. Then, so you can. That equally exciting to do.
That would be the ideal, is to let Mariusz and I take over controlling those two courses and gamify them and make them much more engaging and fun. Because I can make a first-year programming course a lot of fun, and I can make first-year maths a lot more fun than it is.
Yes, you can do a lot more fun than just show a YouTube video at the start of each.
It is possible to do more, and but you know, it's what you have control of. Right? If you're in a school setting, you're limited as to when you can do this, how long the kids have got for it, how it's placed in the day, how the teachers refer to it. Right? Do they refer to it as oh, hey, let's play that maths game? Or they go, time to play your math game. Right? Even that context completely shifts the kids' mental mindset. So there are some things you cannot have influence over. But yeah, okay. It's all a balancing. But yeah, okay, so.
So they found out that all the games teach both counting and comparison and don't make a difference. And one helps more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And others, as I said, didn't study the mapping and arithmetics connection. So in this study, they had 132 participants, 53% were male. They had 4 hypotheses. So the first one was they wanted to see if teaching counting and comparison would help children with arithmetic skills later on. The second one was if there was a difference between counting and comparison. The third one is if these techniques would help also children at risk, so the same as other children. And the fourth one, if there was a connection between improving arithmetical skills and mapping skills. There were 3 measures. One pre-test, so in kindergarten, when children were still not divided in groups. And one was post-test, after the test, immediately after the test, and the other one was in the first grade, 6 months after testing. There were 3 groups. One group played comparison games, the other played counting games, and the other was business as usual control group. The games were easy to play, and the children could play them alone. They were individual games, so they were matched. The difficulty were matched to the children's knowledge.
You see, I'm for the limiting of the Hawthorne effect, as they say about that control group. They say active to avoid the Hawthorne effect, but then however, instead of counting of comparison instruction, the control group received 9 enjoyable sessions of regular kindergarten activity, intervention as usual, and had the opportunity to do some non-math games in the computer. Now, if I was to avoid the Hawthorne effect, you would want them to have some math. Yeah, come in and say, hey, maths is really important. We should be doing some maths on paper and playing maths on paper stuff, or have like a big counting session, or be an active control group that wasn't the game. But for me, this doesn't avoid that kind of effect of saying maths is important on the kids. So yeah, it is more like a business as usual rather than an active control group, to my mind. So,
Yep.
Yeah. So results.
Yeah. So in the pretest, they found no significant change between children in the three groups. So
Which is kind of what you want.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a pretest where one of your groups is already much better at math, you go, no, this is not going to be useful.
I found these intelligence tests. I don't know, they didn't give any description about them and they didn't use them. They just have the numbers, so I don't know how to use it. It's fine. It's legal.
They don't show you what they are, but they're just saying, the numbers are similar. Honestly, we collected some numbers, the numbers look the same, it's okay, trust us. I did find it a little odd that then their post-tests weren't the exact same numbers as their pre-test. Right? I would have thought they would have unified them to test exactly the same thing. Because here they present the visual IQ and the physical IQ. But then later, they're now doing number knowledge and mental arithmetic. They don't then show if either of those do have chat. Like, yeah, I would have expected to redo all of the tests again, right? Not just some selected. And here they call them arithmetic, procedural counting, and then here they call them number knowledge and mental arithmetic. Right?
Comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, changing the names of the categories you use, and then wait for it PAE. Right, you change the name again. Yeah, I didn't like that bit. I didn't like that they didn't just pick one thing and keep retesting the same thing over and over again. But yeah.
So that all the data is not important, or what?
Well, if they measured again procedural counting, conceptual counting, and arithmetic, if they use those three names again, right, in the next phases, it would make it much easier for me to look at the three phases and go, aha, aha, aha. Same numbers, same stats, same understanding, right? Rather than changing it for each phase. But it's there, yeah. I know one of the challenges of that is that a test that is good for a 6-year-old may not be good for an 8-year-old, right? Because the 8-year-old could max out on the test that a 6-year-old is getting a valid score for, or a score for an 8-year-old test. A 6-year-old may just not even be able to answer anything, so you can't differentiate any of the 6-year-olds because they're just incapable of doing the 8-year-old test. So I can understand that you have to change the test complexity, but I would still like to have seen more.
At least they should have discussed the relation between the tests.
Yeah. Because they show that the guys are better at this other test, which they may have been better at before, unless you know that it's testing exactly the same thing, and they're not sure. But yeah. So.
In table 3, they show that counting games have helped children with arithmetic, number knowledge, mental arithmetic more than comparison games, and they differ significantly from the control group. So even in the first grade in primary school, they have helped children. They have improved their arithmetic skills and number knowledge later.
So this gaming intervention was still, you're seeing the influence of it.
It was 6 months later.
Yeah, 6 months after the end, they stopped doing anything. Those kids were still doing better in a test that you hope is testing it, number knowledge and arithmetic.
But they didn't find any significant change in mapping. So they say that there is no correlation between mapping and arithmetical skills. But they also say that there is a possibility of a type 2 error. So there is significance in these arithmetic number knowledge and mental arithmetic. So the size is big enough for it to be significant, but in the mapping case, they say that there could be a type 2 mistake, so it should Other studies should include a larger number of people. So that was one of the limitations of this study. Yeah, so they showed that computer games can help children in improving their arithmetical
It's
skills.
spending more time on math.
Yeah, spending more time at maths makes you better at maths.
That's a reasonable hypothesis.
Again, how much information? Yeah, I would not be surprised.
I would even generalize it. Spending more time on anything makes you good at it.
At that thing. Well, there is a phrase. You guys have the phrase "practice makes perfect," right? You've heard that phrase. My coach was the practice makes permanent. So, however you practice is what you get better at the way in which you practice. Which means if you practice badly, you perform badly. So you have to practice well if you want to perform well. So yeah, and if you want to do better at maths, you probably should be thinking about maths. It would make a big sense, but you know, in a positive light rather than a negative. So, yep.
So 4 hypotheses. The
Mhm.
first one was that they wanted to see if games can help children improve arithmetical skills. So they showed that they can. They showed that counting helps them more than comparison. They also showed that counting and comparison also help children at risk, similar as the other children, because they had a significant difference from the control group. And they rejected the connection between mapping and arithmetical skills in the 4th hypothesis. I also mentioned that it's important to use games to teach counting and comparison rather than teachers teach the children comparison and counting because they don't have time and the departments are understaffed. The teacher has time to do it.
Yeah, that's not like the Barnehage here in Norway. So my son, I think, is in a group of 12, 8 or 12, and I think they have 2 teachers in the group pretty much at all times. So they're more down at the 5-to-1 ratio than 22-to-1 ratios. At 22-to-1 with children, you are basically just stopping them killing each other. That's about 100% job at that right point. There is not much teaching going on because there's no way you're going to get away with having 22 kids where all of them are behaving nicely and being nice to each other and not hitting each other and not trying to bite each other. And yeah, you are babysitting, not teaching at 22-to-1. But, yeah. So in those situations, maybe we do need games and technology to step in. And they're saying the same about elderly, right? I mean, if you get a carer with too many old people to look after, they stop being able to interact with them and be social and try and actually make their lives better. They are just constantly just cleaning to try and stop them.
Yeah, but then you have to compare the 20-to-1 ratio with technology to say 1-to-5 ratio without and with.
Yeah, I would think 1-to-5 is going to be better than 20-to-1 with tech.
Yeah.
I don't think technology is going to get you the benefit of having a 5-to-1 ratio. Yeah, human beings. But it might make it better than 20-to-1 without technology.
Mm.
Yep. Okay. So, what do we think is this as an overall approach and study? So, what were your thoughts? It was very dense, as you said, but
I think it was well done. Just the tables, I couldn't relate this much, but it was very detailed. Just these intelligence tests and these tables that I couldn't relate. Otherwise,
I would like to see some images from the game.
yeah.
No, yeah, I felt they kind of say they exist, but they don't show you them. They don't show you what the kid does in the games, and I think the information about this tool was underwhelming. And I also had that issue around the because they're publishing to a teaching and teacher training journal. So they're often the tests they're referring to are the standard ones, and therefore everyone's expected to know what those are. And there is a base assumption that two different arithmetic tests are testing the same arithmetic abilities. Okay? And so the idea is that, like we tested their maths capability at 10 and we tested it at 5. We use a different test because they're 5 and 10. But, they're still testing their maths ability. Okay? And that assumption gets harder to defend as you start looking at the different types of intelligence and how you test things, and whether your testing protocol might be more about comparison than counting or something. And so, yeah, I would have liked to see more of the actual, like an appendix with the actual tests, so that I could look at them and say, hey, okay, so that's the kind of thing you're testing here, that's the kind of thing you're testing there. And I know even a reference to say, look, independent studies have shown that maths ability in this is correlated with maths ability in this one. So,
but as you said, it's sort of in that community is probably given. They probably don't.
They don't even think about it.
They don't question the tools, the instruments they use. They just use them, and then the questioning the tools is a different study. Like,
Yeah. So, though it would be useful to point to one that verified the tool was useful, right? And it's one of the things. So if like when I'm working with the latest Horizon 2020 call, one of the things we've been discussing is using the MMSE. So remember we did the old link when we did that mini mental state model we showed up on the screen, where it asked you to draw the rectangles and count and remember words and stuff. Right? Remember we did that?
Yeah.
You guys were all about 30, it's got 30 out of 30-ish. Yeah, you're not demented. No,
A little bit demented.
What year are we? What town are we in? What room are we in? Oh, yeah. Good. I was.
Score 19.
You lose the mark. From the beginning, you did the test. But I said to the lady who was doing the testing, one of the things we've been looking at is whether or not you can do that on a tablet. Right? Can you run that test and get the person to do it exactly the same form, but on a tablet? And she was doing, has that been validated? Right? And it's because that's the first question that the testers have is, that's a different test.
It is.
Testing someone by asking them these questions and on a piece of paper with a human is a very different test to having it in a tablet and getting them to do it themselves. And if you want to move to that test for medical reasons as a diagnostic test, you would have to do a large clinical study on your tablet implementation of the MMSE and show that they are fully or correlated enough to be validated as a useful test. Then you could start using the tablet one to as a threshold or as a cutoff or as a selection criteria for the activity. I would have liked to include, because if you're going to do it in that one, if you're going to do a game on a tablet, I want to know the person can use the tablet. So I'd like to have a test on a tablet. And it doesn't matter if your MMSE score is high. If you can't use a tablet, my game's not going to help you. Right? So I wanted to kind of exclude those people. And they said, but if you exclude those people, then you're excluding the group who might not do well in your game because you're excluding people who don't use tablets already. So are you sculpting your sample group to the people who will benefit from your game rather than being a population study? Okay, so every decision you make around how you include and exclude people and how you test them affects what you can say about your results. Okay? And so if I excluded people who couldn't use tablets, all I could say is elderly people who were who already had a high level of skill using tablets can benefit from this game, rather than elderly people can benefit from this game. So
yeah, but it also kind of it depends what sort of skills you're looking at, right? So like when we did the study with the Parkinson patients, the problem was some of them didn't know how to turn the phone on, right? So they were not phone users. And the phone users could turn the phone on and start the app, right? But once you taught them how to turn the phone on and how to turn the app up, there was no difference between the skilled phone users and the non-phone users.
The novice users.
Yeah, there was this hygiene factor. It was a binary thing, right? So yes, it was excluding some people, but it was kind of easy to overcome. And then once they were in, the button pressing was there was no need to know how to use, gestures or things or whatever. You didn't need to be a skilled tablet user or phone user. Yeah. So it's sort of, it depends what you need from the people to know to use your game effectively, right? If they need to know different gestures and different affordances already, then sure, you should exclude people who don't know them or teach them. But if it's just about, turning the tablet on, that's a different,
something that is trainable.
Yeah, exactly.
And it isn't a symptom of some underlying inability.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so still discussing summary. What do you the difficulty of the tests and not showing you which games they used?
Yeah, because they have references to the other games they studied.
Mhm.
You can download them free here. They show you the link, but not to their game. So if you want to test their game, you can't.
Yeah, so the repeatability of that has been, the replicability. So to replicate their study would be difficult. To do it with another game and kind of get the same results might be possible, but to replicate it would be difficult because they haven't given you the game. Whereas they do give you this link for the number race, which visually, am I reading right that? Yes, I am. It's done by a New Zealand company. Or rather, it appears to be done by a New Zealand company because it appears to have New Zealand English.
Maybe that's just your locale.
Maybe it's just picking up my locale and it doesn't want me to run it. So did you guys download and play the number race? Right. 107. Install. So actually, it does say yes. The number is New Zealand English, which might just be it detected my browser as New Zealand English.
Yeah. You have to accept the terms.
Terms.
Install the toolbar.
Okay. It can't write there.
You have to run it as administrator if you're going to install it within the program files directory.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I wonder if it's added ask. I hate ask. The ask toolbar is the worst thing in the world. Yeah.
U dimension here. Yeah, reading that text is.
This is really, that's terrible.
Hospital?
Hey, number three.
And why do they have the text? They have the,
Sometimes your enemies will try to
Okay.
overtake you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they don't expect you to read it.
Living on the squares. If you land on
and
them,
those skip.
they will send you backwards.
So if you want to play, you have to watch this each time, or if you want to play, you have to watch this each time.
Probably. Now, it's
On the
On the
shell.
shell.
Which one is the shell?
The shell is right next to the crowd.
Curly one.
Alright, with the arrow pointing at it.
Probably.
Choose your character.
Why did I have to click? Why can't I just click anywhere on the screen?
No, just make sure that you are there.
I'm paying attention. Okay.
Everything is locked apart from the first one.
Yay.
It's the
Thank you. So I'm forced.
illusion of choice.
Because you haven't paid. There's a no pay.
Okay. I assume I pressed the flashing.
Choose quickly.
Ha! I took the most.
What? What?
You get 1 plus 0 equals 1. You get this.
What
What
the?
was the point of this challenge?
Move your player forward.
Okay. Move my player forward.
You dragging? No?
Try clicking on the 1.
1. 0 plus 1 equals 1.
Does that make you more mathematically intelligent than Simon?
1, 2, 0 plus 2 equals 2. Aha! I'm ahead.
Doing.
You're telling me you're winning.
So you're clicking.
Choose the side you want.
Okay, so
5, 6. You chose 6.
Ah,
5.
You
right.
have more.
I have the least.
I have the
Move
least.
your player forward.
Oh,
6. 7. 1 plus 6 equals 7.
See, fun game.
yeah.
Maybe for small children. I mean, we have established they would play with a hammer.
Yeah, we'll play with the hammer.
Yeah, toilet roll.
Aha! You have to go back.
7 minus 1 equals
What?
6.
I'm so ahead of you.
You can't win.
He landed on me, and so I get pushed back. That's harsh.
How does that happen?
That's mean.
Choose quickly. 2. 3. You chose
Whew.
3.
I have the
You have more.
But he's gonna be ahead of you all the time because he will be even again. He's just gonna be
Exactly.
You need to win with more than one.
I make mistakes. I have, what happens if I try? Oh, no, it's going to move me. So I can't.
Ja.
Right.
Ja.
So it only allows you to place you in the correct slot.
Or
No, look at this guy. This
I
guy.
can't click any of these, but I can click there, the short ones.
9. 7 plus 2 equals 9.
Push it back.
Aha! You have
So each time you roll one less than
There's a lot of bad things with this game.
Since he won once, he can keep on living forever.
Okay.
Choose quickly. 3.
Hey! I'm gonna give you one.
No, he was quicker because he wants to win.
Oh, come on! That was fun.
This version of the game are so slow. And then just
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, kids are gonna love it.
Oh, I landed on him and pushed him back.
And now moving forward.
Okay, it's balanced now.
Plus
3.
equals
What the?
What a scoring system.
And I think
Watch out, there are new traps.
Oh.
You can apply these frameworks now.
Get notes. 3.
Okay.
You have one.
I have the least.
What do you think you said? The most serious games are.
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Fun.
fun. Yes, that was the word I was
Most.
looking for. Fun.
That's all. The most.
Plus 2
What happened with the tracks?
13. Darn trap.
Darn.
13 minus 2 equals 11. Uh-oh, you've overtaken me.
Oh, finally.
And no hidden rules for overtaking.
Not because you are so skilled, but just because you were happy or lucky. No, you did not.
Too late.
Okay. Right. So there you go. That's
That's a serious game.
apparently that is significantly beneficial for students to play.
Yeah, I think it increases the frustration, the ability to handle frustration.
7.
Yes.
Two quick questions.
Now, so next session is going to be Tuesday again, and we'll need to assign someone who hasn't presented yet to present.
Isn't there another?
So no,
Isn't there on Thursday?
no Thursday session.
No, we're moving the Thursday session to being the integrated
Project.
Okay.
meetings.
Okay, so we're doing that on Thursday.
Yes.
Okay.
So the idea of Thursdays become integrated project meetings, so you guys can come here and meet
Yeah.
and work on Thursday afternoon, and Tuesdays remain this session.
Oh, okay. So then we can just. Okay. So you're planning to meet after the session to